Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the second day of our International IoF Conference. Good morning. Seated. Now I think we have to start our session. Everyone is requested to good morning. Let me introduce myself. Myself, Rubina Bhattrai, currently pursuing master's degree in general forestry at SOF NRM. Now, I'd like to request our chairperson, Sir Professor Dr. Viswambar Prasad Sati. Professor Sati is a senior professor and dean of the School of Earth Sciences and Natural Resource Management at Mizoram University, specializing in Himalayan geography, natural resource management, climate change, livelihoods, and sustainable forest management. I'd like to welcome Professor Dr. Sati to chair the session. Please welcome, sir. Now I want to hand over the session to Professor Sati, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, madam, for inviting Center for Forestry Research, Professor Suresh Chandra Raiji, Professor Sonny Bralnatan, and all my dear colleagues, fellow colleagues in Tribhuvan University and also all coming across the world. Many, about 11 countries are representing this conference. It is a great pleasure and it is my privilege to also being as a chair of this this keynote speaker session. I warmly welcome you and it is my greetings all of you. So we will not take much time. Now I invite to Dr. Krishna Prasad Acharya. He is Secretary General South Asia Wildlife Enforcement Network. And before I invite him, I would like to talk something about his biography. Dr. Acharya is a natural resource management professional with more than 30 years of experience in forest management, biodiversity conservation, cure conservation, climate change adaptation and mitigation, ecosystem-based adaptation, REDD+, landscape planning, protected area management, and agriculture and livestock development. He has extensive policy and program-level experience with international, regional, bilateral, and national organizations. He served as Secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development and a Director General of both the Department of Forest and Development of National Parks and Wildlife Conservation. He is really very devoted person, as you have already heard about his biodata. Now I invite Dr. Krishna Prasad Acharya for the keynote speech. And then there is some rules that we have to follow given to us. Professor Acharya will speak about 30 minutes, more or less, depending upon him. And then we will have about 30 minutes question and answer session. And then we'll go like this. So, sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much. Very good morning and namaste to all of you, my respected professor, colleagues, teachers, students, friends, family, and all present here, ladies and gentlemen. So today I'll be talking about mainly on safeguarding South Asia biodiversity from one of those threats among several threats. One of the threats is illegal wildlife trade in South Asia. So in my presentation, I will share you what is the exactly the evidence says about South Asia on illegal wildlife trade, and also what then exactly it demands from us. So in doing so, I will be highlighting very recent research that we conducted, and also based upon several country interaction, I will present some of the policy recommendations how we can like. So South Asia is very rich in biodiversity. There are 8 countries. Among those, India is one of the mega diverse country in the world. We have 24% of world population and 3% of land in South Asia. 15.5% of flora, 12% of wild fauna are South Asia. So yeah, I mentioned about there are several things like other places, and maybe I will also remind you might have seen this World Wildlife Crime Report as well as whole planet report by WWF JDS teams, which says in the last 60 years, 73% of biodiversity has lost in the universe. And among the main reason or drivers of loss are among these factors. So why illegal trade very frequently we use what is the value of illegal trade in terms of biodiversity conservation, security, and livelihood. Just by looking on the first eye, we will not see the very deep linkage between these elements. But if you go deep dive, and increasingly, it is very much recognized by UN agencies also. One of those agencies in UN working on illegal wildlife trade is part-time, their thematic issues, not very much integrated. Let me share one very interesting point there. Also, I learned now when I joined SAMI. I didn't learn that when I was working in Ministry or the Department of Forest and stuff. There is no single, any global conservation conference and parties, convention, protocol saying that illegal wildlife trade is a criminal issue, is a criminal crime. Nepal very much recognized, so if you are killing of species, there is 15 years of imprisonment. Within South Asia, in Maldives, it is a administrative matter, and there is no, imprisonment, it's just the penalties. And that is done by existing law. In very several countries, illegal wildlife trade is also not recognized as an illegal activity. So there is ongoing global movement where additional protocol to include in existing UNTOC, United Nations Treaty Against Organized Crime, which now includes very much well-known organized crimes such as drugs, arms, human trafficking, mines, minerals, several others. But it is not recognized on the same scale. So unless we have that policy harmonization, it will be really difficult that world will take similar action across the different countries. And very much now it is also linked with financial system, financial fraudulation. Nepal, I don't know, we don't have that much information. But if you see the financial task force report in Nepal, so Nepal is in great list. So there are different crime, there are different indicators why Nepal is in great list. One of those indicators is environment crime. And the indicator value of environment crime is higher than other crimes. So you can, I don't know, maybe it may be because of our default reporting system. In case of Nepal, I would say. And that has very much strongly recommended that there should be minimum level of linked with illegal wildlife trade should be investigated linking with financial crime. So maybe once we have at least one or two or few evidence, then that will support coming out from graves. So let me also highlight what is SAVIT. So South Asia Wildlife Enforcement is an intergovernmental agency of 8 South Asian member countries. By the statute, all member countries are, all the countries, 8 countries are members themselves. So there is no provision that unless we endorse it, we will be member, or if not endorsed, we are not member. It's not that case. Every country are member, and there are 4 key basic objectives. One is policy harmonization. As I said, there is difference in policy. So when the drafting was made maybe in early 2000, India has now 5 years imprisonment for tiger killing. Bhutan maybe 7. Nepal still has 15 years. So there are different countries have different policy. One country banned one species. All cucumber, sea cucumber are banned in India, but sea cucumber can be exported from Sri Lanka. So there is a difference among the countries. So that is one of the issues, policy harmonization. Second is about conducting research and change and generating evidences. Third is about to enhance capacity of law enforcement agency itself. 7 is not a law enforcement agency, it's a support body. And fourth is implementing countries for implementing their national action plan. So my data information letter, the evidence will be based on 4 studies. One is about, we very recently conducted a wildlife crime study for 10 years. And we conducted 2 months cybercrime study, and we also conducted with one study with UK-based database company called Go Insight, and we also have analyzed CITES legal trade in South Asia for almost 70 years. So what it says, and we can generate some common conclusion from here. So for the first study was we do also publish bulletin, which includes one the data set includes 1,996 entry from there, And there is a roll mechanism. All these are publicly available data. All one is called Robin. Yes, bias. It is a France-based agency which also publishes wider information from South Asia on illegal seizure and poaching. Then there is EIA based in UK again, and the traffic maybe all of us will know. And we try to, there were maybe 30,000 data collected, so 11,000, so we remove all the duplicated and finally come across about 17,000 individual cases. But there are limitations of study. Yes, it is the open source. There is under distribution, only reported cases are coming in. And it's biased towards well-known species. Maybe it's a tiger case is coming, everybody will know. If there is snake and reptiles, few reporting will be made. So there is underestimation. One study says there is chance that 80%, 78% are exactly reported as seizure in most endangered or well-known species, but maybe 30% or even less with or less or more study. So there are several bias on based on open source study. So what it says, this always increasing. Both green is an animal and red is a plant. So you can see over the period of time from 15 to 24, there is always an increasing trend of seizure in the region. And it was divided in different categories. 18.8% of those seizures were on big cats. Big cat, there are 7 big cats. Maybe we have among those tiger and leopard and so leopard. So 7. Still, the highly valued species are on seizure, but there is growing trend of lesser known species. Lesser known means not very well. We prioritize those species. For example, if you have seen the World Wildlife Crime Report, the previous reports was saying that there is an increasing crime on tiger and rhinos. But you see the recent report, it says crime does exist, but the species have been changed. It's not the same scale of tiger and rhinos, but now maybe pangolin and snake and live trend. So this is a trend, 18% big cat and others category. So again, among the single, leopard is the most traded, most seized species. You can see there are timber, rhinoceros, sea cucumber, and several others. So this left-hand side, figure is very interesting. Maybe when we worked earlier, that time we knew only the land route of transportation. But you can see there is growing trend in through air. It's easier. And also through online trade mainly based upon parcel. Like Patao and others, our food manu, for example, food manu maybe not doing, but it is easy to and less detectable if you send through parcel. So that is an increasing trend. Unlike what we learned earlier by land-based only. So you can see this is one of the very important analysis. If you see how it is linked with financial and other forms of crime, there is one word called crime convergence. Does this illegal wildlife trade operate isolated? It's not linked with drug trade. It's not linked with firearms, or it's not linked with human trafficking. Is that true? No. Out of those case studies, based on open reporting, we have seen that 139 those cases were very much linked with other forms of crime. Means people are carrying wildlife products together with gold, together with dollar, together with guns. Means it is interlinked with the other forms of crime. The recent report says it is the same group of mafia people who are shifting from one form of crime to another form of crime, depending upon how effective is the law enforcement in that particular area. If there is very strong law enforcement, is, for example, human trafficking, they will shift to illegal wildlife trade, which is less effective to all of us. We think it's not a very much prioritized issue, but this shows that we should think about how this crime has been operated jointly by the same group of people. See, and how they operate it. These all are based upon those open sources, as I said before. And among those sources, not every data has that information that which method was used to transport, and not much detail available. But we have some indication. We can say what is the method of poaching and harvesting, what is the method of control and transport, and what there is. So if you see now, e-commerce and social media is one of the growing. One of the expert was once was saying that maybe now it is about 80% of trade is now through online platform, and it will completely shift in few years' time. So what about our capacity? Maybe we don't know it. We do not have that capacity of how it operates, and whether really we can go deep dive. Maybe many of us we don't know even the surface we can deep it, and how does it operate, and how the function now. Maybe very recently you have seen of WhatsApp. There is no need of any identity. So you can change the identity, Snapchat, something like that. So it disappears message. So they communicate through those media, and it's increasingly being very difficult to identify. So I am the species. You can see here, 45% were from appendix 1. And the most important here is 25%, 25.4% of this list and 36% of this list says varied by species means in the seizure it is written monitor, wild monitor. There are several species. It is written, for example, only leopard, means there are several species of leopard. So we don't know by species means when we made a seizure, we are unable, or our frontline staff are unable to identify the species. Means there is a really big gap in species identification. Ultimately, will lead to weak prosecution and final verdict from the judge. So this was an online trade study that we did, just to identify whether this trade does cybercrime does exist in South Asia or not. So in 2 months' time, we found there were 70 cases just in 2 months' time. And then out of those, 60% were not the new one. They were very persistent over the period of time. And they are only in our case, we found that maybe because of our capacity, the e-commerce site were made responsible then social media. But if you see the global picture, it is opposite way. Facebook and TikTok are among the top leading effort platform making effort for illegal oil. So it is also interesting. If you see which kind of people are engaged in those days, from a very minor to 81-year-old, male-dominated, repeatedly doing the same level of crime, different national engaged, and father, son, husband, wife, kind of carrying the family are engaged in this culture. And the first respondent is from India. First respondent are not the wildlife officials, they are police while making seizure and others. Means we need to engage this multi-stakeholder agency in the system. So maybe different countries in South Asia now they are working on bureau concept, or different stakeholders are brought together, but varies by country their authority and capacity. One of the missing agency in this controlling illegal wildlife trade is, and the legal mechanism missing is custom. When we talk about the border, talk about the movement, global movement, regional movement, then the custom is the ending point for a country, means at the same time beginning border of another country. And we are not able to bring back in the system the custom. And when you talk about custom people will say, our priority is to raise the revenue, not to enter this, and then you will be engaged for unnecessary management burden. And very recently with the live species trafficking, it is really a big challenge. Very recently, the growing crime is on live species. So we also conducted one study on tiger very specifically, and we found in 10 years' time there were more than 3,500 cases reported from South Asia, leading up to maybe killing of 500 tigers. And the same study here, one of the arrests was in Kathmandu. Two Chinese people were arrested with 35 bank ATM card and voucher, and few thousand US dollar. Two skin from India likely were transited to taken to China. Means we are not free. Still we don't have cases of illegal poaching and trade reported, but we are still being used as a transit country other part. So we can see again this is India and Nepal all together. I'm now going back to my 7,000 breakdown a little bit. Oh, this is I have not put any picture now. Here. This is more or less AI generated presentation. Let me try whether I can work on it. And some with some images. So this is very interesting, guys. It was happened last year in Mumbai airport. People coming from Bangkok carrying 47 of those species, venom, poisonous venom in bag, carrying bag. And this is well documented picture in Mumbai custom website. You can picture it there. You can have a look. See now how see the difference, While carrying from Bangkok authority they do not see that in a personal bag and carry. While people by interrogating, they discovered live species, this number of. This is one example. There are several cases. This species, where 52 were there. Out of that, one was I think dead one. So there are cases of Bangladesh. Whatever you are, in Bangladesh is well known for illegal bird trade. All species from Nepal also, I think we have Macau coming from Africa, and by the decision of the court, somebody is still in Katmandu Valley, they are railing in their house and making ready. Bangladesh is well known for bird trade, so it is suspended now by science authority for doing any kind of bird trade now, because it was very much linked with. So what I am indicating is legal trade is overlap with illegal trade. And then Bhutan is now growing, not much well known, but there are cases that there were seizure of red sandalwood in Bhutan. Means it's going to China. Again, the market is more or less in China side, so all coming from India, either through Nepal and Bhutan. And Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is now well known and growingly being a transit country to transport those things to India. The live, mainly reptiles and birds coming from Latin American countries and Australia and going to India. And when there is a live catch, then the people who are frontline, who really make the areas, they have to face big challenge. They don't know the specific behavior, they don't know where to keep them, and court will ask to show it here and how to show it. And there is no, the problem facing by South Asian countries, there is no, even the funding or technical capacity or holding facility where to keep this until the court, demands to show again. So this is really a big challenge coming for frontline staff. And what we can, not very much conclusion, but we can have the hypothesis saying that when people, they are rich, they raise their income, then they will start, doing those illegal activities. One word was people using was cute acquisition. If something is cute, one body is holding, and the other else they want to hold. Not by confirmation, but I would say many of us present here, we know your neighbor. I don't know whether you or not, but your neighbor definitely have some turtles in Kathmandu. So that is a growing level of trade with superstition belief that we believe if we have a turtle, then all we will have very good future. We will money is coming, faith is coming. This is very much created. So Pakistan is mainly well known for cats and falcon. They're going to Middle East. Afghanistan is have this falcon going to mainly Middle East, Iran and other places, where there is high demand of falcon. This one picture I really wanted to share. These are recently, although the heading is in Bangladesh, but this picture was seized by custom official in Sri Lanka. We are not able, none of us were able to say what exactly the species is. We don't know, by seeing maybe there are some indication, with this size, this color, could be this species, but we do not have that forensic information on any of the country. And we share this with global agencies working on this, and they were also, by having this, and with more additional measurement dimension, they were not able to exactly locate what it is. So this is one of the growing trend now. Why? It's easy. You can have a bulk It's less attention, easy to carry, and they are not able to make any suspect and make seizure. And unless you have to, if you want to also go to the forensic, the unit inside nature, not the outside. So it's really now growing, so they can carry mainly reptiles and birds through this mechanism. Okay, the data has very low information about Maldives and Afghanistan. It doesn't mean that they do not have any crime and there is no risk. It means they are less reported. Or they maybe do publish in local language, we do not have information. They do not share the information to the public, or government has different policy not to share the information, or we are not able to capture it. So whatever it might be, but crime does exist, and we lack that information. And species is still there. Here also, as I said, there are few species like mouse deer or sun leopard going from Afghanistan to a neighboring country. So what are the growing trends in South Asia? As I said, first, cyber-enabled wildlife crime. And among the 8 countries, maybe India has some knowledge. Rest of us, we don't know. We don't have much information, frontline staff. Nepal police might have some information in case of Nepal, but other agencies, they rarely have information how really we do operate it. And the legal mechanism is we do not have very specific identified all these, how to deal with wildlife crime. And social media, even Darajas, advertise of some of the illegal activities. If you say Daraj, they will not remove. If you say Facebook, they will not remove. There are no office. They do not, take care of your voice. But very recently, India has taken a step, and when there is, if the Indian authority they ask them to remove, then they will remove. If you want to go a deep dive and identify who really it is, then there comes the privacy issue. You will not be able to go inside. It's a privacy matter, and you can violate it. They have that right. So let's have known species. E-trade, I mentioned about this. Social media, very much. Earlier, this species of spiny-tailed lizard was being used by traditional healer for different purposes. Now you can see this in YouTube. So people do not come and sell in the street. Now they post in YouTube. So e-commerce I mentioned about. CITES, there are evidences. We make evidences. We make a research which says there are legal trade channels here. Very much overlap illegal trade. There is mismanagement, there is fraud, there is duplication of permit, they are reuse, and there are several others. If the one issue of highlights, if you see the South Asia, always 50 years ago, and now we have imported more than what we do is export. So we have imported lion. India has imported grebed monkey, which is not non-native to exported grebed monkey India, which is non-native to South Asia. So why to combat illegal trade? This is important in relation to the conflict thing. It has linked with when a species is directly killed. This is the loss of species in the ecosystem. And there is very recently it's growing with the approach of One Health. You can see there is genetic spillover and transmission of this disease risk. Live species coming. You don't know what kind of disease they are carrying. And corruption, everything is happening there. It's different, money laundering and other issue. When, for example, if there is a high level of crime, then maybe wildlife species-based tourism will go down, and therefore there is interaction of people losing wild-based income, tourism-based income. So there, I have already mentioned about our capacity. We don't know species. We have no forensic. We have no filters. We have no intelligence data sharing mechanism. We are different in legal mechanism, and then so on. So we need, really a database to say what exactly is. Southeast Asia has very good database compared to us. And what we also have is we have some good. Now earlier what was considered is illegal wildlife trade operate in isolation. Now there are evidences because of retailist killing causing conflict. These products have now come to the market. So people do not support now wildlife agency because wildlife they are causing their problem. They are creating conflict. Why to support wildlife agency? Rather they can get income if they support the poacher. So that is a growing then community outreach. Intelligence, legal framework, custom, I have mentioned, and private sector, how to engage the private sector. And then we really don't have capacity of how to deal with the financial investors. So in terms of what is conservation, it is species that we lose in illegal trade means that has direct effect in ecosystem services. We are altering the ecosystem. So, for example, Chidon, or we can take a bird there. So more or less well-known, species, wild species-based tourism. If we lose the species, then we will be directly implementing our income or tourism based on illegal species. So we talk about organized crime. There is money laundering. There is genetic disease, health issue, and there is security issue. Because why this was emerged, in globally. In Africa, they found that almost in some of those terrorist organizations found 80% was coming from illegal wildlife trade. That was the beginning that they really wanted to explore, and we have seen some cases in Nepal also, there is link between illegal wildlife trade and in recent case, our Supreme Court, our special court also has made a decision that there was evidence of illegal wildlife trade, mainly tiger poaching with financial crime. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, Professor Acharya ji. He has finished his presentation 5 minutes before, or 30 minutes. So it is good, sir.
I was indicated no time.
It is good, and it is like lots of information within a short time. So that is always good. And I will sum up later on. So we have, because we started 10 minutes late, so we have about 20 minutes if we can go for interaction. So in the meantime, you can open the mic. So we have 20 minutes and we can go for some interaction. If you have any questions or any query or any suggestions or interactions, we can go ahead. And in the last, I will sum up this presentation. So the floor is open for any kind of questions and query or suggestions. Oh, I think mic was not working, so many of you did not listen. I will repeat that we have 20 minutes for this interaction session, and then I will sum up. The floor is open for this all interaction. So please, yes, you introduce yourself, and then you raise your question.
Thank you very much for a very wonderful presentation. I'm Vinod Adhikari. I'm a researcher with the South Asia Institute of Advanced Study, and also I'm doing PhD at the Swedish University of Agricultural Science. And my PhD is looking into the intersection between conservation and livelihood. There are different forms of conservation we are talking about. Now, there is no single definition of conservation of wildlife. And Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework explicitly recognizes indigenous rights and the rights of the nature of the local communities. But at the same time, while looking into Nepal's wildlife law, Nepal's wildlife policy strictly banned traditional huntings and more tribal and cultural rights of their hunting. They have been doing for many generations for their subsistence supplies. For example, Taru, Japan, Bote, even others from indigenous community, they rely on forest-based products. My question is, but our policy does not recognize that. My question is, do you think there should be some kind of policy for those kind of indigenous rights? Because at the same time, we're looking into this broad game hunting in the Lord Parliament. we are allowing them who can pay for the big amount of money. So yeah, that's my question. Thank you very much.
Sir, what do you want to answer all questions together or one by one? One. And next one. So please sort your whatever you want to ask, not plan.
I am Dr. Yogendra Yadav from IoF International as a faculty, and thank you for Acharya sir, your nice presentation regarding the illegal trade of South Asia. And what my question regarding in the case of Nepal, given the increasingly transactional and technology-enabled nature of illegal wildlife trade, how can Nepal strengthen science and evidence-based governance, intelligence sharing, community participation, digital and drone technology, and cross-border cooperation with South Asian countries to disrupt wildlife trafficking network while ensuring that conservation action also protect local livelihood and biodiversity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Acharya. I belong to Devana College. So thank you very much. Thank you, sir, very much for the very enlightening presentation. When you were presenting what I was thinking that here should be some representative from the Ministry of Home Ministry, Forest Ministry, Defense Ministry, and also I was envisioning the representative from the embassies of South Asia. So this is very important topics I found. So I thank you very much and thank you IoF for keeping this important issue as a keynote issue. So KP sir, you already led the ministry and you had some experience out of ideas convert into the policy. So what do you think that this is the very pertinent issues from the social aspect? So how can we incorporate these all things as a source of income in this knowledge-based economy? So how a wildlife can contribute, direct contribute. First, my question is how all the South Asian countries can recognize it as a criminal offense. How, what sort of advocacy like universities and other academia should have to play, and then how we can incorporate it as a, how we can convert it as a knowledge-based economy in our country. Thank you.
अहिले मैले काठमाडौँमा हेर्दाखेरि के देखेको छु भने जुन इन्टरनेसनल एयरपोर्टमा तपाईँको जस्तो उताको देशमा लिगल यहाँ इलिगल यस्तो आएर हामीलाई धेरै समस्या परिरहेको छ। अब किनभने कुदो भन्ने एउटा त्यसको चाहिँ सिङ आएको थियो जुन कि हाम्रो देशमा हुँदा पनि हुँदैन, इजरायलबाट आएको थियो। अब उता फ्री रहेछ, यता फेरि क्रिस्चियन बाजे बजाउनु मिल्छ त्यसलाई। अब 76 वर्षको मान्छेलाई समातेर ल्याएर त्यसमा चाहिँ अब कारवाही गर्नुपर्ने अवस्था आयो। अब त्यस्तो धेरै छ। एउटा मैले त्यो बिर्सेँ, एउटा किरा आएको थियो के उताबाट दुबईबाट। अनि त्यसमा फेरि त्यसको पनि त्यो केल चाहिँ भुटमुखी के थियो भने चाहिँ लगाउने रहेछ। एउटा इन्डिया एजेन्सी आन्दोलनकै बेलामा परेको थियो, त्यही मगाउनु भाइ पनि आएको थियो एजेन्सी आगो सागो लाउँदा। त्यो भएर अब यो एउटा देशमा लिगल अर्को देशमा इलिगल हुँदा चाहिँ एकदम समस्या भइरहेको छ। यसलाई कसरी डिल गर्ने गर्नु?
Me, Ram Bahadur. I'm a faculty member from University campus. My query is regarding on there are many success stories in China with the farming. Can this farming, commercial farming of these wild animals, can control the ethical trade? And what are the success stories beside in China in the Nepal?
So we have Professor. Please come. Yeah.
sir. I'm Krishna, the chief forest. I have short queries about the problematic animals now, the immediate program with the national park and other deer parks. What about this problematic targets, leopards, can be used as a further this as the previous tool for the farming or the maybe hunting and like this, so that make a general instrument resources or to controlling other edible poaching. Just questions. Thank you.
Yes, okay, now we stop here and let Acharya. He will reply.
Okay, thank you very much. First question about rights and wildlife use. This is one of the growing concern, as I said, European Montreal biodiversity framework, and several previous global agencies are now almost coming not a conclusion but coming to a conclusion that addition of traditional particular system SDOL is almost possible. So maybe that was the reason coming from for the concept of other effective area-based conservation cohesion and others, which says primarily it's a right-based conservation not a priority, and it's community managed, community owned, and directly linked with the livelihoods. So I think in Nepalese the last revised Wildlife Act has some provision on. There is a legal provision, but regulation hasn't been formed yet, which says traditional people will be allowed to collect some, as I said, grasses and other kinds of things. Let's hope that there will be some mechanism in future. But in practice, in several areas, unless traditionally being used, these wildlife parts are being in market to sold, wildlife authorities, by searching, going home and home, there are no any case of making arrest. Those, that has been in practice since ancestor. Now the youngs are, taking it to the market for getting money. There are examples. I know Khagadev calls, for the Sradhaman Linjani, we have arrested and make a case. So this is when they sold in the market, it doesn't mean that they can. But in practice, there are some legal, mechanism adopted. Maybe in future, let's say the draft has that provision. The latest, I have seen the latest Wildlife Act has included somehow that provision that it should be recognized cultural practices of using wildlife. But that was the first question. Second was about how Nepal can get benefit from wildlife. I think maybe we are implementing several mechanisms like community-based mechanism or community-based while sharing the good practices. People from different countries, they will come here to learn how Nepal is generating income and others. But the question still is, now we are very much successful in restoring natural resources, both forest and wildlife. Now it's time how we can get more benefit at community level, country level. I think that's one maybe the very big ongoing question. So let's hope that there will be some shift in the policy. The policy, both, let me say, the policy both forest and wildlife that Nepal adopted in 70s, 80s when there was crisis of species loss and habitat degradation. Still they are the prime policy. So one of the era leaders of community forestry, one of the community forestry day, maybe 4-5 years ago, we are saying let's have another policy by we celebrate next time community forestry. We did not. So same conservation based, protected based policy we are adopting. So it will take unless we change policy. So I think there are initiatives going on. Let's hope it will bring some fruit in some time. The only mechanism, let's say, highlighted it, only mechanism that the issue of even Kathmandu raised and the previous issue was, unless there is homogeneous legal mechanism, which is not possible, because country will say we have sovereignty rights, we will not do it. For example, one country will say this is a very much cultural practice our people are using and it will not be banned in other places. when there is a global mechanism saying a protocol to UNTOC, then every country has to follow it. So then the case of if Israel also, then Nepal, the species is banned in Nepal, should be banned in Nepal, in Israel, and cannot be, they will not be allowed to transport. So unless we have that similar mechanism, at least, then only it is possible. Otherwise, we will be struggling. I gave the example of sea cucumber. All sea cucumber in India are restricted. They call their Annex 1. All are in Schedule 1. But only few sea cucumber are banned in Sri Lanka. And Sri Lanka and India has even much wider open border than us. So sea, easy to transport. And they carry to, going to Sri Lanka and Sri Lanka. So there is always blame from Indian side for that. And Sri Lankan side says, what you are looking at? Why? Let's say, okay, we agree that. Then there's a border, you have security, and what your security does, why they do this? So it does happen. I think it's not easy. Only our aim is to reduce, to mitigate. We cannot complete it unless there is an issue of policy highness and member countries, as I said. And then airport, maybe I just give the question. There are good practice here. I think very recently there are good practice people sharing from one country to another country. For example, in a policy level, community forestry is well known. In terms of conservation also, there was last time there was a group from Bhutan just coming to Nepal to learn how Nepal is functioning. One of the case of our Wildlife Crime Control Bureau, how Nepal is doing. There was people also coming from Sri Lanka asking how this this WCCB means multi-stakeholder agency to control illegal trade. How you are working it? How does it function? What is the role and responsibility of different agencies, and how the mechanism, institution mechanism. Sri Lankan people are interacting with all of us, so they want to scale up it there because this is the right time to start in Sri Lanka. They are growing now. It was not IWT was not a problem in Sri Lanka a few years back, but now it is one of the serious problems in Sri Lanka because of this increasing trade and transport of different species. And the reduction of, let's say, maybe tiger bone in Chinese traditional medicine, they have banned it, will help. But the traders have come with new ideas. I haven't seen the picture here. Maybe very we know they call it a gold tiger bone glue. Now they replace the tiger dust and powder. So in place it is tiger glue bone glue. The tiger bone are very much cooked in cooked boiled, and it is prepared like a cake. So you don't know whether it is a traditional medicine or really a cake, or it does include tiger bones. And they promote it's very effective in controlling your several diseases. And there was a study conducted by traffic in Vietnam saying that those people using traditional medicine, 50% they use tiger glue bone. So you can see, and then very recently you can see the beads made by elephant skin. We cannot think of that. Very beautiful, very nice, beads by elephant skin, and they promote. It has several value of intuition, maybe part of the Ganesh for our region. So that is also, they come with the new things, and maybe there was a question from let's say Institute of Forestry saying how we deal with technology. If you ask, there is a decision from scientists, one decision from scientists that every country now should have a separate desk to deal with cyber online crime. Maybe none of the South Asian countries has a separate desk. Maybe we are not, even we don't know that scientist decision does exist. Very recently, all SARC, the last scope, all SARC are put in appendix. There are several countries in South Asia, also known as India or Bangladesh or Sri Lanka, Maldives. And maybe none of them, they raised the question. It was only Japan saying that it is not a effective way, it will lose economy, everything. It was only Japan, otherwise it was in the past. And we do not have much fear, for those kinds of global convention. And similarly, the case with Shiso is banned by scientists. We need several, we should have several provisions. One growing concern maybe for those, for Nepalese people, very specifically, I shared before with the colleagues from the Department of Justice, maybe it's likely that if we continue harvesting similar way, Yarsagumba is going to ban it very soon. Means we will not be able to. So we should improve our management. We should start improving our management. And there is a big group of people, countries, INGO working on this, because if banding is very easy in sciences. Lifting band is really difficult. Putting and listing is very easy. Everybody will support it. Thank you.
So thank you very much for this all you have answered, all the very eminent questions. Uh, I will just talk about 1-2 minutes on some of these presentations. So it was very nice presentation, incorporating all aspects of the illegal trades and also how to cope with the illegal trades, some policy framework, and also some collaborations, safeguarding South Asia biodiversity, safeguarding South Asia biodiversity, science and regional cooperation. So this was really a wonderful presentation by Professor Acharya. He talked much about that how this illegal trade is going on, and now he's talking about now online. The trade is more, that dangerous than what we have the traditional this one. And he is talking about what we are being we are doing conservation for the wildlife. The illegal trade is more impactful than what we are doing this conservation like this. And he was talking how this South Asia Wildlife Association regional platforms, they are working, but at the same time there may not be uniformity in policies and planning, because every country has its own interest or own this demands like this. And he is also talking about that how the fauna and flora are increasing at the same time. He has shown one graph, they are all increasing by 18.8%, the big cats already increased, but at the same time there is also this conflict, human-wildlife conflict and poaching going together. The species has been changed also. He's talking about how species are changing, and then also he shown some areas where there are wildlife hotspots. Talking about India has particularly one neighboring state, Uttarakhand. Now the wildlife population has increased largely, almost the black bear and the brown bear, they are increasing, like, because nobody can go to the forest to, even there is some another problem like this. Okay, so then he was also talking about this the tiger, also tiger population, another species also population, and then yes, and there is also a growing trend of this illegal trading going on. Social media is playing lots of role, and then can play in also in this stopping this illegal poaching, because social media is nowadays very strong. Nepal is one of the example of social media, and this it is good also. Yeah, community participation is there, but social media is more impactful nowadays. So it has. He was talking why we have to combat this illegal trading, but it has lots of economic implications, human health implications, livelihood also at this like this. And he was also talking about way forward, what to do in future regarding this all conservation of wildlife. Like we need data, but data is one of the very important. He was showing some data from AI also, he told, but reliability of data is, we don't know how much and then also counting the wildlife is also is Herculean task. It is not so possible also. He was talking also technology driven and so many things. It was very wonderful this presentation. I thank you, sir, and I thank you all of you. The audience are always very important for, that all the conferences. And you are very good audience here, and thank you, sir, for Sureshji and all the faculties and the university for giving this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, Professor Dr. Biswambar Prasad Sir, for your presentation as a chairperson. Similarly, sincere thanks to our keynote speaker, Dr. Krishna Prasad Acharya, sir. Now I request Deepak Kumar Khairan, sir, former Secretary, Government of Nepal, for presenting certificate of appreciation to our keynote speaker and token of love to our chairperson. I request Monitor member for presenting token of love and certificate of appreciation. Thank you so much everyone for this wonderful session. Now I'd like to inform that we will have all four panel sessions in all four respective halls. In this hall we will have forest fire and bush fire recovery theme, and in the communal hall we will have biodiversity, habitat ecology and human well-being theme. Similarly, in the second floor we will have Sudha Sagar on new theme, forest fire, climate finance and pathways to climate action. Similarly, in the art table, there will be session on geospatial modeling for landscape change, environmental risk, and resilience. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for your wonderful participation. Thank you.